Hello guys. So in today's video we'll be talking about supports and resistance, and we have a couple of supports and resistance. We have the horizontal support and resistance, we have the dynamic support and resistance, we have the psychology support and resistance. But for the purpose of this video, we'll be discussing about the horizontal support and resistance. Just for those of us that don't know what a support or a resistance is, a support is the lowest point price has gotten to before making a reversal, and a resistance is the highest point price has gotten to before making a reversal. So now let's take support as the floor, the base, while the resistance as the ceiling, the sky. So now at support level, traders are looking out to join in on a buy position, while at resistance level, traders are looking out to join in for a sell position. And in this video, we are going to be learning how to identify support and resistance and how to use them in our trading. So this is CAD This is the 4 hours time frame. I chose the 4 hours time frame basically because it seems much more easier to make analysis on the higher time frame and now lower down to the lower time frame for entry. So currently this is CAD current chart, and like I said earlier, support is the lowest point price has gotten to before making a reversal, and I can see here now this is the lowest point price has gotten to before making a reversal. So I can identify there as my support level, and also resistance is the highest point price has gotten to before making a reversal. So now this is the highest point price has gotten to before making a reversal. So then I can identify there as my resistance. And also remember, support can also become a resistance, and the resistance can also become a support because these levels are to be broken. So drawing your horizontal supports and resistance, some persons ask me, is it okay to place my lines or my zones at the body or at the wick of the candlestick? I myself, I prefer placing my zones at the body of the candlesticks. It's okay for the wick to be cut off, but to me it's not okay for the body to be cut off. So now this is the current trend on CAD, and currently I'm on this trade and we are running in profits. But then I would like us to make an analysis on how we arrived to the setup. So now I would have to look back into the chart for me to be able to identify all of my zones, because these zones are identified right now. Doing the right thing, I would have to wait for price to come to these zones to make a reaction. So how did I get into a sell position here? First thing I did, I tried to identify the trend of this market, the overall trend of this market. And if you look now, the overall trend of this market has been on a downtrend, because we have been getting lower highs. And then I spotted my zones. I equally spotted this current zone from this angle here, because remember we say the support level is the lowest point price has gotten to before making a reversal, and also a resistance level is the highest point price has gotten to before making a reversal. And most of these zones happen to be a zone where price finds difficult to move freely. Either price comes back there, respects it and come down, then you can now identify there as a valid zone. So first things first, I took into consideration of the trend, which was a downtrend. I identified my zones. I used the line chart when I was doing that. So let's switch to a line chart. You can see the line chart. It looks much more clearer for me on the line chart, and I believe it also would for you. So you identify all your zones. Okay, here also was a resistance zone. Here also is acting as well a support level. So I'll be changing that to blue. So I've been able to spot my support and resistance level. What was the next thing I did? You know, since I'm planning to go into a trade and knowing the fact that this was on a downtrend, after spotting my zones, I switched my chart back to the candlestick chart, right? I switched my chart back to the candlestick chart. And so price got to that zone, to the zone I identified to be a resistance back then, and price rejected at that zone, giving me a good candlestick confirmation to join in for this sell, right? But then, how did I find an actual entry? After price gave me this reversal candlestick here, when I move down to the lower time frame, I'm going to be seeing something different, because like I said earlier, it's best to spot your zones on a higher time frame and find your entries on a lower time frame. So let's say I move into the 30 minutes charts. So this is the 30 minutes time frame, and this was when price came to that zone I identified as my resistance zone. And if you look clearly, there was a little sideways movement, consolidations, and like we all know, this is also acting as a support level, because this was the lowest point price got to at this point while it was consolidating. So what am I going to do? I had to identify this as the support level. These are the support level. Then I waited for an actual breakout from this support zone, because remember, we spoke about entry methods using support and resistance, and we have the breakout, we have the bounce, and we have the break and retest. So at this point here, where there was an actual breakout, unfortunately I was not active to be able to catch up on this trade. But what did I do? I waited for a retest back to this broken support where price broke out from, and this is all because I already had an idea of the actual overall trend from the higher time frame, which was the 4 hours time frame. And at this point here, I had price come to retest this broken support level. So I spotted my entry here. I had my entry here with my stop loss above the resistance, the last known resistance, which is above this line, and I'm riding the trade all the way down to the next possible support level. But then there's also what we call the Fibonacci retracement series. It also acts as a support and resistance zone. So now that can help you identify your TP1, your TP2, your TP3. But then going into a trade using the support and resistance, all you have to do is you have to start by identifying the trend of the market. Remember, they always say the trend is your friend. So we start by identifying the trend. After identifying the trend, we start identifying our zones. And after we do that, we wait for price to get to any of our zones. We don't just take decision while price is in the center of nowhere. We wait for price to get to our zones. We equally look out for a confirmation, either a bounce or a breakout or a break and retest. Then we can now spot our entry and ride on the trade. So I'll be attaching the setup and the trade I took from this CAD JPY using the support and resistance pattern. So do well to subscribe, like the video. This is our very first video here, and I believe the video is going to get better. See you guys.